Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with me. This is the one and only Maverick podcast. I'm your host, DJ Maverick, and today we have a lifelong hip-hop enthusiast, a part-time rapper, and a full-time social worker. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a huge welcome to the one and only Paul Tactic Lopez. What's up? What's up, Paul? How's it going?
Oh man, it's great. I'm so excited. This is a lot of fun. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Hey, you know, when I was thinking about music and guests that I wanted to have on the podcast, your name, of course, rose up to the list. So I had to have you on the show. For the people that out there that may not know you, brief breakdown of kind of where you grew up, where you were born, and kind of what you do for a living, stuff like that.
Okay. So my name's Paul. I'm from Austin, Texas. Born and raised Austin, Texas. Pretty much been in Central Texas my entire life. I went to school for broadcast journalism because I thought I wanted to be like a TV reporter, and
Nice.
then ended up in social work, and I've been a social worker for 10 years. And yeah, like as you mentioned, I've been a hip hop enthusiast like as long as I can remember. And I guess we'll get into that with the music stuff, but yeah, that's all I listen to, and that's pretty much all I've ever listened to my entire life.
Awesome. So tell me, growing up, what kind of kid were you? Were you just like into music, or were you into like athletics, or what kind of stuff did you do as a kid?
Oh man, I'm for sure an athlete. When I was growing up, I played soccer, basketball, and football, but like to this day, really all I play is soccer. I play an insane amount of soccer. Not right now, of course, because we're all quarantined. But,
Sure. I saw some injuries too that came about because of that soccer, right?
Yeah, I broke my collarbone last year. I broke my collarbone playing soccer, and then as soon as I healed up, I went right back to playing 8 games of soccer a week, like just being an idiot or whatever. But yeah, I grew up being an athlete, and what was, as far as like music wise, like my parents are not really music people. Like they literally do not listen to music. Like,
Oh, wow. At all?
No, I mean,
No?
they might have like the radio on when they're driving, but like growing up, so I'm biracial. My dad is Latino. My mom is white. My mom actually grew up in South America because she was her dad was like in the military in some capacity, and so like I've had people like, oh, so your mom has some South American influence with music, and your dad has Latino influence in music. It's like, no, neither of them listen to music. Neither of them care about music, and so I didn't really grow up listening to music, or like listening to their music, I should say. And so it's like, like they didn't listen to, the Beatles or salsa or like anything like that. But yeah, and I'll extrapolate on that whenever we start talking about actual like songs and stuff. But
Sure. That's pretty interesting because, most people were either influenced at the very beginning, at least, by their parents or by a sibling, usually a family member. So how did your music taste sort of come about? Like, how did you get, introduced to some of the artists on your list? How did that happen?
so it was 100% my brother. My brother's older, and so my brother was the coolest person I knew, and at the time, but so my brother like started bringing home music that his friends were giving them, and so like the elementary school that I went to, all the music that they were listening to was all like Nirvana and Metallica, and like my friends played it for me, and like I was like, I don't like this, and so like I just thought I didn't like music, and I had heard rap music on the radio, which at the time in Austin was like whatever pop radio was playing, which was early '90s, was like MC Hammer and Vanilla Ice, and I
Yeah.
wasn't into that. Like I heard that, and I was like, what? I don't like that. And then my brother started bringing home stuff, and it was like, what the hell is that? Because it was like, that's amazing. I've never heard anything like that. So it was ultimately my brother that changed my world. And it's funny is like when we were growing up, my brother and I only listened to rap music. And now my brother doesn't really listen to music much at all. He's got kids. He listens to kids music with his kids. Like, it's pretty interesting, but like, I'm still like rap music all day.
Yeah.
That's still my thing.
Awesome. Hey, well, let's dig into your list here. So tell me a little bit about this first track. It's by Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. It's called "I'm All That." Tell me what this track means to you.
Yeah, so that I think is ultimately the most important song on the entire list, because if it wasn't for that song, like nothing else, you know, I was saying, like, I didn't really like music when I was a kid, or I thought I didn't like music because my parents didn't really play music. I didn't like any of the things my friends were listening to, and you know, I had heard pop radio, it just didn't speak to me. And then my brother, his friend showed him Fresh Prince, DJ Jazzy Jeff from Fresh Prince, and my brother brought home the album Home Base.
Okay.
Came out, I want to say it came out in 91, and so it was around that time, 91, 92. I was like in third grade. I remember, so I was like 7, 8, and my brother started playing it. The first track on the album is this song, I'm All That, and it started playing, and it was just like, this is music. Music can sound like this. Like, it just blew my mind. And I just, like, I wanted to keep hearing it. And then my brother brought home more DJ Jazzy Jeff and Fresh Prince. Like, he's the DJ, I'm the rapper, like all these other albums. And on Home Base, the album that I'm All That is on, there's also like Summertime, which is maybe
that's huge.
Their most famous song. And you know, summertime. But like, it's to me, it's that first song I heard in that album that was just mind blowing. And it's funny. A little funny side story is my grandmother knew that my brother and I were really into rap music, and she wanted to hear like a rap song. And my mom knew like damn well like a lot of the lyrical content in rap music. My mom was like, just play her something that's like, that's really easy. That's, you know what I mean? No cussing and stuff. So we played this song for her. Uh-huh. And at one point, Fresh Prince, he says hell. He says, where the hell they at? Who cares? And when he said hell, my grandmother looked at my step grandfather like, can you believe what was just said? And it was like, man, if you knew the half of what rappers were saying. But
yeah.
but this song, like, it's still to this day, like, because whenever you asked me to join you for this, I did a lot of research. I was like 3 hours worth.
It's difficult, right? Because I always work on my list, and I'm like, man, there's so many other songs. Like 10 is hard, but if you don't do it just 10, like the show would just go on forever. So yeah, and I guess I should say, like, the hardest part about all of this was like doing songs that have been influential on me as a person, not what I think are the 10 best rap songs of all time. Because that was hard, because it was like, I'd pick up, like, I still have my CDs, because I haven't gotten rid of my CDs yet. And I'd pick up the CDs, and it's like, I love this album. How am I overlooking this album? Yeah. But it's like, no, these are influential songs that are like changed my life. And so, yeah, so this one is just, when I listen to it still, like, it's just like, damn, this was it. This was the one that did it. But yeah, that's awesome.
And I guess I'll add, so as a like, so I've been you sort of mentioned, but I've been a rapper for about 20 years, and never tried to, like, you know, make it as a rapper. Never tried to make money as a rapper. It's just something I do. As much as I'm a soccer player, I'm a rapper. Yeah. And a lot of times when people have asked me questions about, like, you know, what advice could you give, or whatever about being a rapper, and a lot of times it's like Fresh Prince has been like such an influence on me that it's like the way that he raps is so animated and lively, and like that, like, it's like, if you want to know, like Fresh Prince, like, as much as in his day he was probably like you know, like, because, well, so he says whenever he won a Grammy, he's like, you know, and I won this without cussing. Yeah, he definitely cussed in his day. And his song, you know, you saw my blinker, bitch, too damn hype. Like, he definitely cussed at some point in his career. But like, I still think he was viewed as kind of like, because he was in the same era as NWA, as A Tribe Called Quest, as Nas. You know, Live at the Barbecue came out the same year, like all these songs, and it was like, y'all gave the Grammy to Will Smith, but it's like, To me, he's very talented, and they had really good beats. And so if really like the way that he's so animated is I think is such a good example of how to be captivating on the microphone. And I don't know if that translates, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. Now tell me, so prior to listening to the album, when your brother brought it home, were you a fan of the show? Like, was that a thing yet, or did that come later?
No. I don't know when the TV show came out, but I was not aware of it before the music.
Okay.
The music came, and I was having a good time with the music, and then at some point started watching the show, and I don't think, as much as the opening like rap song that he does, all about how we like, I don't think I like really put two and two together of like I knew it was Fresh Prince the music, I knew it was Fresh Prince the show, but I don't think I ever really thought this is the guy that's changing my world. He's also an actor. Like I was too young, honestly, to really think about those two. It was just like, oh cool, they're by the same guy, but like it didn't really connect until I was older.
Yeah. So did you start like kind of writing down rap songs or something, or how did that start? Like, do you remember how that first got started for you to become like interested in rapping?
So that was also my brother's doing, and it was when I was in 8th grade. My brother was in 11th grade. He started making rap music with his friend, and because I really looked up to my brother and idolized him, like I wanted to be like my brother. And so 8th grade, I started writing raps and trying to freestyle, and I was terrible at it, but like there's no proof of it because I didn't record anything. But that was really when it started coming together. And then 9th grade is when I started like getting my friends to rap with me, and we had like a rhyme journal, book of rhymes or whatever it is, and it was basically in a notebook that we just passed around, and we would like write a page each of like raps. And I wish that thing still existed. I don't know what happened to it, but it would be great 20 years now. That would be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Take a look at it. Yeah. Awesome. So, growing up, rapper, do you remember how you first recorded your like first rap song? Was it like on just like a home stereo or something, or do you remember how that happened?
Yeah, I when I was in 9th or 10th grade, 9th grade, it was 9th grade. A classmate was selling their turntables and mixer. I don't know why this guy who was the same age as me, I was 14. We were both 14. Like, why do you have this and why are you already selling it? Mm-hmm. But my brother took me to go buy this stuff. And so I had a mixer and I had some turntables for a while. So I had a vinyl collection at some point. But
nice.
I was only a couple years. But it came with a mixer. And I figured out that I could connect my mixer to my microphone, to my like cassette player or whatever, mm-hmm. and record. And so it was 9th, 10th grade. I don't remember exactly. It was around the time you and I made a rap song together. But
really?
I don't know if your listeners know this. But
it was like a Christmas song, right? Like
it sampled a Christmas song. Yeah. It was I don't remember which song it was.
It's like, I really do believe in you. I don't know. I don't remember what the Christmas song is, but I remember we sampled that and then like sped it up or something. I forget.
Yeah, it's when you were still going by DJ Weecho at the time. I still remember.
Yeah,
DJ Weecho, the illest DJ, got the girlies on my jock from TX to OK.
Oh man. Yeah, as you can see, I was not the rapper, so that's pretty funny.
So it was around that time, and so yeah, the very first rap song I ever recorded was straight to cassette tape, and it was with my friend Brian, and I don't even remember what song it was, but I remember it was one that you had to do in one take. You couldn't do it in like, okay, that was a good verse, let's try it again. Like you had to do the whole song all at once. And we were having so much trouble because either we kept laughing or we kept messing up. And so we'd have to keep starting over and over and over. So that was the first time we made a rap song.
Very cool. So, all right, next track, it's called West Up. Tell me about this one.
Oh, man. So, again, since my parents were not really into music, we didn't have a CD player for a long time. Like all of my friends started having CD players, and I didn't.
Oh man.
And finally, like my friend had a CD player, and then he got like, I'm getting a new CD player. You can have this. And so we had a CD player, but no CDs. So my brother's friend let him have a CD, and it was the only CD we had, and it was WC and the Mad Circle, Curb Serving.
Nice.
And so I was so excited about the idea of I have a CD player and a CD. So like in 6th grade, I came home and I listened to this CD over and over. So like at this time, I had already heard, you know, like I've been listening to Outkast, I've been listening to Wu-Tang. I'd already heard a lot of stuff, but those were all on cassette tape. And with this CD, even though I could skip to whatever track I wanted, I would listen beginning to end. Like, and this is a good album, like end to end burners. Like this is a good album, and so I would never skip. But it was just like the idea that I had this CD, and so I would listen to it over and over and over. And specifically, West Up was just such a good song, and it was before West Side Connection was a thing. And so this song, WC. It's WC and the Mad Circle featuring Ice Cube and Mac 10. WC, Mac 10, and Ice Cube eventually become West Side Connection. This was like the seeds of this group. And to me, this is still my favorite song that those guys ever made. So their West Side Connection, you know, they had, Bow Down, and they had that other song that came out in like 04, 02, whatever it was. That they have some really good music. But to me, West Up is just still just such a good
banger.
Song. And yeah. And it takes me back to that, like every time I hear it, and periodically I'll just play it, you know, YouTube play it, and it takes me back to that feeling of just like, God, this is such a good song. What happened here?
Yeah.
And for me, for that, just a side note, one of the lines, so like the whole notion of it is it's around the time of the Coast Wars. And so, you know, East Coast, West Coast, you know, Third Coast, all this stuff. And so this song West Up was basically, they're talking about how like West Coast is everything. And one of the lines that Ice Cube says is, the sun rises in the east, but it sets in the west. And to me, like, that's how I remember that to this day. It's like, what side does the sun rise in? Like, and I was remember the Ice Cube line. It's like, oh, that's right. And so that's how
that's awesome.
Weirdly influential that song is on
That's
me.
how you like teach your students and stuff. Awesome. So did you start like entering like talent shows with your rapping, or when did you say like, hey, I want to take it to the next level and I want to start, you know, performing in front of people and stuff like that, doing shows? How did that happen?
We started, I had a friend that I rapped with in high school, and we started performing at like house parties. Like there, you know, people would be like, hey, we're having a party. You know, I know you and your friend rap. Do you want to perform at it? It's like, sure, why not? And so we would do that. And then we performed in the talent show at my high school. And they didn't have a winner or loser, not winner or loser, but like a you know, best in show kind of thing.
Yeah.
But the teacher who was our like graduation sponsor who put it on, she said afterward, it was, she told us to our face, she said, we did not have a winner, but if we would have had a winner, it would have been y'all. And which was great, because we had really we did like a synchronized dance, and then we had our like little rap and all this stuff, and we put on a show, and so it felt good to hear that like it worked, that what we were putting on.
That's pretty cool. You have video? Do you know if there was video from the show?
There is a video.
Yeah,
and
nice.
I have it on It's on Facebook, but I posted it like 15 years ago or something.
Sure.
And so
that's pretty cool.
But and then since then, like I've never really like had a goal to like, you know, make it big or sign a record label, whatever. But I do periodically perform, you know, if it comes up. I had a friend who was putting on rap shows in Austin for a while, and he asked me, at this point maybe 3 years ago, to perform. And so I performed at some venue in Austin. I don't remember what it was, but it felt really good to, you know, it was like a 15-minute set, and it was just like, man, this is the good old days. But at this point, because I'm a social worker at a high school, and they have a talent show every year, and I always perform at the talent show. My work has an annual like retreat with a talent show. I almost always perform at the talent show, and so that's about where it is.
Yeah,
you know, I just do
that's cool.
that.
So that's kind of interesting though. Like, what made you kind of decide? Because you do kind of have to decide, like, okay, this is where I'm going to dedicate my effort, versus like I'm going to go do social work. Like, what made you decide to sort of, focus more on the social work versus the music stuff?
I went to college for broadcast journalism. I did an internship and I hated it.
Really?
It was like, yeah. And
was it at a station or a TV or where'd you intern?
Yeah, it was at a TV station in Austin. It was the Spectrum cable like affiliate. So they have their own news station in Austin, and nothing against them. I mean, they were great. There's not as much creativity in this field that I want to have, and so I was just kind of like, well, now what do I do? Because I have a degree in this, but I have no interest in doing it, and I worked at a college for a while, and then I saw a job listing for to work in after-school daycare, which was this specific program that I did when I was in elementary school, and I loved it. And it was just like after school, I got to play sports for 2 hours until my parents could come pick me up. And I thought, like, I know I have a degree, but it sounds like a lot of fun to play sports.
Yeah.
And get paid for it for 3 hours with 3 hours with students. And so I did it just as like a filler until I figured out the next step. And it was a lot of fun. And just this feeling of like, if you're playing catch with some students and this other student would come up and be like, hey, can I play too? And then he didn't know how to catch. And then I'd be like, hey, wait, let's hold on. Come closer to me. And you would teach this teaching moment where I just taught this human being how to catch. And it felt so good. And I realized in that moment, like, I think I want to chase this feeling forever. And so like one thing led to another. I taught writing classes for a while. I taught these little things. And then eventually this job opening opened up where I'd been mentoring this kid through this mentoring program. And the person who ran the program was like, hey, I'm about to leave and I think you should replace me.
Awesome.
And so I applied for it, got it. And so I ran a mentoring program for a while, and then it was for this social work department. And then I eventually got the job I've had now, which I've had for 9 years. And I work at a high school, and it's, I don't teach people to catch anymore, but it's a similar thing where it's like I teach life skills and, job skills and relationship skills and whatever it is just helping someone become the person that they are, need to be, meant to be, whatever it is. And yeah, that's just where I ended up. And there's, as much as I like, when I play soccer, there's nothing that matches the feeling of like scoring a goal or like saving a goal, whatever it is. But at the same time, there's nothing that matches the feeling of like, someone who you thought was going to drop out, but you just helped them graduate, or someone who you were worried about the worst of them, but now they're off of probation or whatever it is. And so, yeah, that's why I do what I do, and it's hard to find anything else that matches that feeling to me.
Yeah, that's really cool. And the students can probably relate to you more, right? Because here's this guy, he kind of dresses like us. He listens to the same music as us. You could probably blend in as one of the students, probably, honestly. Like, they could probably feel more comfortable with approaching you with problems and stuff like that, right? Does that happen where they kind of, share some of the problems that they have versus, kind of trying to stay away from, quote unquote, the authority or whatever?
Yeah. In some instances, like, not all my guys are. So I only work with male students, and not all my guys are into rap music. But like, there certainly are some that are that I can definitely connect on that level, or they like tell me that I rap sometimes. It's like, oh yeah, well, nice. I rap too. Let's make a song together. And I actually do make songs with my students, and I'm actually able to use that as like not so much as a bargaining chip, but as like a goal, like, hey mister, let's make a song. It's like, okay, well, you're failing a couple of classes right now. If you get that up, then let's make a banger. And yeah. So like that is definitely something that I think helps me over some of my coworkers to connect with my guys. Yeah, that's a good point.
Cool. So it's an all male school? I didn't know that.
Oh, sorry. So it's It is. It's a normal school, but I specifically run a young men's leadership group,
Oh, okay. Okay.
and so I work with students who are males or identify as male, and we have a curriculum that we work from that is leadership oriented, and so in that case, as far as a social worker goes on a school, I don't so much do as like like deal with like as much as like heavy stuff as far as like students really like at the end of their rope. It's more like students that are at risk of dropping out, could use some leadership skills, could use some guidance, are interested in volunteering, or I mean, it's a lot of possibilities. Like I mentioned, like I have students that are on probation. I have students that are at the top of their class that just want something to be a part of, and it's a Title I school, and so it falls within that category. But it just depends. There's a lot of students that I work with from all walks of life.
Got it. Okay, cool. Let's jump into this next track. So this next track, La Di Da Di. Tell me about this one.
Oh man. So this for sure is one of my all-time favorite rap songs.
It's like an anthem, man. If you think about it, it's like an anthem pretty much in hip hop.
Oh yeah. And so the last two songs didn't really fall into the category of one of my all-time favorites, but this song for sure does. And I showed this song to my girlfriend like pretty early on in dating, and she fell in love with it too, and like she'll just listen to it on her own, which I didn't know that for a long time. But like we were listening to it and she was saying a lot of the lines, and it was like, what? How do you know this? She's like, I've been listening to it.
Nice.
And so the first CD I ever bought was this album. I think it's called Hip Hop Classics, Volume 1, Volume 2, something like that. But it was the first CD I ever bought. It was 7th grade, 8th grade, something like that. So again, I was very late on the CD train. When I bought this CD, and I mean, I say I bought because like this was like money I had saved up. And I was a soccer referee. That's how I earned my money as a kid. And so, this is like money I'd earned. So this is like, do I want to spend it? And I bought this album kind of sight unseen. This was before YouTube, before I could Spotify it. I didn't know any of this music.
For sure. Just kind of looking at the cover, right? The album cover and stuff, probably.
Yeah. But it was just like, I love hip hop and it says classics. How can I go wrong? And it is. It's a good album. But on this is this song. And man, this song, I listened to it over and over and over and over. And so much. I had the entire I'm not really good at memorizing lyrics, which is hilarious as a rapper. But like in the course of like 20 years of making songs, I have like 5 of my songs memorized out of over 100 that I've made. And so I don't know if I have it. No, I think I still have it memorized. La Di Da Di. But like, so a weird side note is, so at the time that when I discovered the song, this would have been mid to late 90s. Cell phones weren't a thing. So if you were sitting waiting for something and bored out of your mind, you couldn't just pull a miniature computer out of your pocket and be distracted.
Yeah.
And so what I would do is I would recite the entire song of La Di Da Di in my head, and it was about 5 minutes long. And so I'd recite it and be like, okay, so 5 minutes down. And then I would say it again and it'd be like, okay, that's 5 minutes
awesome.
down. And so like that's how significant this song. But like, also it's just like, this song is so influential in hip hop in general that like, I want to say, this is my personal opinion, this is not fact. I want to say it's the most sampled rap song within rap music of all time. Like it has been so sampled, hit it, like whatever, all these like go-to lines, Biggie, 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 can't you see? Like that's, it's all goes back to this song. But that's just where it is for me. Yeah,
that's very cool. What's interesting, what you told me about your lyrics. So what do you do when you're about to do a show? Do you just like practice that whole week so you remember the lyrics, or what do you do there? That's kind of interesting. I always just assume that, you hear about like Jay-Z never writes anything down. He just goes in and like records or whatever. Like, do you just keep all that knowledge in your brain? But you say, I don't remember the lyrics. So what do you do?
That, yeah, I practice that the week before. I practice and practice and practice and practice, and it is kind of stressful because it's really hard for me to practice and or to memorize. And so yeah, it's practice and practice and practice. And so like, and I'll drive to work and I'll have the music, my own songs that I've heard a billion times
that you wrote.
Practice. Yeah, that I wrote. And
Nice.
Yeah, so that's what I do.
Okay, very cool. So with the social work, the guys that are interested in music, do you like once they're done with the program, do you kind of stay in touch still? Like, do you guys still like record stuff, like even once they're out of the program?
Yes to both those. So I do to stay in touch with my guys that want to stay in touch. Some of them, like, as much as I'll have a bond with them, 3-4 years of high school, I'll never see them again or never hear from them again, and that's okay. I leave the ball in their court. And then, but some of them, yeah, like I'll stay in touch with them. I'll go grab lunch with them. They'll call me and update me with their life. And then the ones I made rap songs with, I've only ever made like post graduation. I've only ever made one song with them, and that song came out I want to say about a year ago. And he actually graduated like 2016, something like that. And so it was a couple years removed, but he reached out to me and was like, "Hey, let's make a song." And I was like, "All right, here's a beat, let's do it." And he was about it. And he actually sent me his verse real quick. It was impressive. It was here's the beat, and then like 20 minutes later, he sent me, and it's like, oh man, that's the kind of motivation I like.
Yeah, that's cool. That has to be super rewarding, like just to see like people go through your program. And then you kind of see the successes that they're having in their life. That has to be pretty rewarding. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely.
This next track is called "I'm African." It's by Dead Prez.
Oh man, I remember when I heard the song "Hip Hop" by Dead Prez. It's bigger than hip hop. When I first heard that song, it was just like, whoa, what is that? Like that. But so I bought this album the day it came out. Dead Prez, Get Free or Let's Be Free. I forget what it's called. But I bought it the day it came out, and this is the first song on the album. It's not the first track, but because there was an intro. But this is the first song, and just the energy, and the energy of this song is just so like it's something else, and is influential to me as a rapper to this day. Most of the songs that I make are very energetic, at least in my opinion. And this was the song that really taught that to me. I don't know how, like why. I'm sure there's been others before it, but like this one, when I was in high school, I listened. So on my personal level, I was listening to this album before one of my games. And specifically, this song got me like
gets you pumped up.
Yeah, it got me gassed up for the game.
Yeah.
And I like went out and I played. And so, as an athlete, you get superstitious and like if I wear this outfit on this day, then I'm gonna have a good game or whatever. And so this became a game day song for me. And so I bought this my sophomore year of high school. And so the next 3 years, every day, I only did this for my school soccer. I played club soccer, but for my school soccer, this was my ritual, was to listen to this song. This is the last song I listened to. And this was like before MP3s and MP3 players. So I had to actually have my CD player and this CD on me.
Yeah.
But I would play this song, and then it was game time, and it just like would amp me up. And so periodically I'll just play this specific song. I'll pull it up on YouTube, and it's just like, man, this is it. And I pulled out the CD the other day because I still have it, and was playing it. And I listened to the whole thing, but after I finished listening to it, I went back to "I'm African" again. It was just like, man, this song, like, I got to do something. I got to go, like, go out and do something. But it's just,
you just randomly start like mowing the lawn or cleaning the house or something.
Yeah, like I realized, like, I might have to bring this back to being my game day song, because it's just because I have a different game day song. It's "Glow Up" by Meek Mill. That's a really energetic song, and it gets me going. But this song, it just does something else to me. And like you said when you reached out to me, like I want you to pick songs that bring you back to a certain time in your life, and man, this really does, like, it just takes me back.
Yeah, that's really cool. That's one of the questions I sometimes ask people is like, if you were a boxer or a fighter, like what would be your song that you would come out with? Do you think that this would be your song that you come out with?
I don't I don't think so. Just because of the content of the song, I don't think I would, because it'd be a little bit weird. But it's close to that.
Yeah.
Like if I could just have headphones on listening to it, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay, cool. So I keep thinking about what you said, that your parents never listened to music and your brother was sort of the one that influenced you. But at any point, did you ever start listening to anything else but hip hop? That's really interesting to me, especially being a DJ. Like I kind of have to, right? I kind of have to force myself to listen to everything that's out there. But I don't know. It's just interesting that you kind of just dedicated yourself to hip hop.
Sort of. So like, for one, I'll say Selena goes hard. Growing up in Texas,
I never knew you were a Selena Gomez fan. No. You're talking about Selena Quintanilla, right?
Yes. Yeah. So like, growing up in Texas, Selena was always a thing. I think in the last like 10 years, everyone else has figured out Selena, but like in the 90s, like Selena was a thing in Texas, and Selena has like kind of always gone hard. And part of that is, you know, as a Texan, you watch the movie, the Jennifer Lopez movie.
Sure.
And so you just have a nostalgia for these songs. And, you know, if I'm at a party and someone, you know, puts on, I don't know, like a Lady Gaga song, it's like, eh. But then if a Selena song comes on, it's like, all right, yeah, you can keep playing some Selena. And so I've always had a soft spot for Selena. I don't really listen to any other music within that genre.
Okay.
But if it's a Selena song, I'm about it. When I was in high school, a lot of my friends got into pop punk music, whatever Blink-182 and all that stuff is.
Sure.
They got into that. You know, my friend Jose was really into that stuff, and so like it's like, all right, I mean, sure, I'll listen to it. I'm not opposed to it like I am, say, like, I don't know, country music. Like I mean, opposed to it's not the right word. I would never sit around listening to country music. It's just not my thing.
Yeah,
but
you
like,
just don't enjoy it.
Yeah, and so like if Jose or, you know, whoever, one of my friends, Jermaine, Eddie, whatever, would put on a country song, I'd be like, could we listen to something else? But whenever they were putting on one of these songs by you know, O'Doyle Rules or whatever these bands were, I'd be like, I'm okay with that. But like, I never really, like, if I was in control, like in my car or in my bedroom, it was always rap music. So
Okay.
I would never sit around listening to Selena. I would never sit around listening to their pop punk music they were playing. It's always been rap all day and when I'm in charge.
What about the chopped and screwed stuff? Because that, you know, for a while that was like all of Texas. That was like everything has to be chopped and screwed. Did you ever get into that stuff?
Well, so in Texas, it's like with Houston music is king.
Mm-hmm.
I have certainly gotten into Houston music, but and you know, chopped and screwed comes from Houston, but Houston has never been like the top tier for me. It's always, you know, more or less been New York, California, Georgia. Like those have been my biggest places. But it's like I am into Texas rap music. Obviously UGK, Ghetto Boys, Scarface, Swish House. So I never got that big into chopped and screwed. I did a little bit, and me and my friends that rapped in high school, we certainly like got influenced by like chopped and screwed freestyling.
Mm-hmm.
You know, June 27th, which is like the end all be all chopped and screwed song. I don't know if you probably know that song, but it was a song that was made for one of the like Screwed Up Click's birthday, and it's just like I think it's 30 minutes long. I forget the length of time. It's a really long song, same beat the whole time. It just goes so hard. And you can just listen to this, and they're all freestyling, and so it was influential in that sense. But and I in college, I found some weird song, and chopped and screwed it myself just to do it.
Yeah.
But other than that, I never chopped and screwed my own music, and I was never like a screw head or anything. Like there's like a lot of people that could say, the great tapes, and that was like basically before CDs were the thing. You could buy DJ Screw tape. It was gray, and they were like $20 or something. It was like an album that people would spend money on, and then just listen to. I never owned any of those, so. I never got into it as much as other people did, I guess, is the short answer.
Okay, cool. Fair enough. All right, Eminem, Stan, tell me about this one.
Oh, man. So not my favorite Eminem song, not the best Eminem song.
Really? Man, this is high on my list of Eminem songs for sure.
Yeah. I guess I would put it towards the top, but not the top for me. But like,
okay.
I had already, I had heard about Eminem before, mainstream or whatever you want to call that. It was on this mixtape. It was called Cali Kings Mixtape Volume 1. I don't know who these Cali Kings were. I don't know who they are since then. But I came across this album, and this person was rapping on it. And it was like, who is this? It kind of sounds like Puff Daddy. I don't think it's Puff Daddy, but like, I don't know, whatever it was at the time. And it was just like, who is this person? And it was Eminem. And so I started like gathering up. This was like, early internet era. So I could still find some Eminem stuff. The stuff like he made, the song Green and Gold with Anonymous and all this early stuff before he was who he was. And then his album came out. And then this is his second album. And I didn't even know his second album was on the way or had come out or anything. But I was at a party. It was the summer after my sophomore year of high school. And someone was like, hey, listen to this new Eminem song, and played it. And it was just like, what?
And it was this? Like, it was Stan?
It was Stan.
Yeah.
I had never heard a song like this. Mm-hmm. And, where he's writing this letter and just this beat. Like, it was just like, and everyone enjoyed it so much that they played it again and played it again. And they kept playing it. And, like, as the night went on, I didn't drink alcohol in high school, but everyone was getting drunk. And so by the end of the night, everyone was drunk and playing this song, and everyone was like singing along with the chorus and like picture on my wall, and so it was such a memorable night and such like a specific time. And every time I hear this song, it takes me back to that moment of like, this is such a good song. Like,
yeah, and then you hear the pencil when he's like writing the note or whatever. That's pretty cool. That's one of my favorite parts.
Yeah, and it's just like, where did this come from? And like, to me, it's so like influential to me that like, because it's experimental. In my opinion, it's experimental, and I really appreciate experimental stuff. Well, there's stuff that works, and experimental stuff that's just like, what are they doing? Like, I'm not into that. But like, when you experiment and it works, when you try something new and it works, and so it's just, part of me is a nostalgia factor, obviously, from that night where we all just listened to it probably 30 times, but also just the experimental nature and just how cool it is that allows me. So like the rap songs that I make, some of them are like pretty normal and some of them are kind of weird. And so it's something like this has certainly been an influence in me in that sense.
I see. What was your first concert?
Whoa. I want to say it was in middle school. And in middle school, so in Austin, not a ton of acts came to Austin in the 90s.
Really?
Now's a different story.
Yeah, I was going to say, now it's like, everybody kind of goes there to try to blow up, basically.
Yeah, ACL, South by Southwest and stuff. And so, like, those things existed in the 90s, but, like, it wasn't anyone you cared about that came to those things, at least not anyone that I cared about rap music-wise. And so it was sort of limited in that sense of, like, who I could actually see. But more like lesser known acts would come to Austin. And so, underground music or whatever they want to call it. So I'm pretty sure my first concert was Living Legends. And that's the collective that is like Mystic Journeyman, The Grouch, Merce, Eli, the rest of those guys. I want to say that was my first concert. But I'm pretty sure it was them.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Was that a pretty good experience? Was that like something that you enjoyed, or was it kind of low budget and not enjoyable?
Well, so here's the weird thing, and especially a weird thing about being a rapper is I don't really enjoy live music, and I don't know how to put it, like, because it's not that like I'm bored or I'm not impressed or anything. It's just like I would rather listen to their music in my car or listen to their music while I'm like doing something than just sit and look at it. And and I didn't figure that out until I want to say I was in college or maybe even after college. And so I would go to concerts and we'd all walk out. Me and my friends would all walk out of the concert and my friends would be like, "Oh my God, that was the greatest show I've ever seen." And be like, It was all right." But I didn't like understand that. And so to answer your question, like, I mean, it was cool in theory because I got to see these people that I've been listening to actually in person, and especially when it's a smaller show at a small venue, like I'm 3 feet away from them.
Yeah.
But like yeah, you know, and then you have to like, with all due respect to opening acts, and I've certainly been an opening act before. You know, you have to sit through opening acts, which, you know, if you don't, if
Yeah, it could be hit or miss for sure. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. So one thing that I always do kind of when I do like a mix or something is I'll hop in the car and then go listen to it in the car. Is that something that you do with your new tracks, or how do you, I guess, listen to a track after you sort of finished it to see if it sounds good?
So once I get all the steps out of the way and I'm like nearing the end, I do mastering on my headphones because that's where I can ultimately feel like I can really hear the track closest. But then I I have a weird final step. So my final step is I unplug the headphones and I play the song and I lie down on the floor with my speakers playing. And I lie down on the floor and I just stare up at the ceiling and I just focus on the song. Okay. And listen to any imperfections. Is my voice too loud here? Is it too quiet? Should I add some extra hi-hats here, or should I take drop the sample out here? And that's my weird final step.
Okay. And I had a feeling there's probably something, you know, usually people have, you know, something. For me, it's like, let's go for a drive and let's listen to it. So I had a feeling that you probably did something. What kind of advice would you give for somebody? You know, now it's super easy to do this stuff at home, and then you can upload it either to SoundCloud or even Spotify if you want. If someone was kind of interested in getting into rap music, what would be your advice for them?
Oh man, this is a great question. So for one is learn song structure. I can't tell you how like frustrating it is to me to hear someone who is really good at rapping, but they rap for like 22 bars and then they put the chord, and it's just like, no, 16 bars. It's this song structure that has existed in rap music it's like basically almost entire existence. And you're just like crashing it. Like, you know, and there's this rapper that's coming out of the Austin area. He was getting big a year or two ago, and I think he's still big. And he had this song that was real big in Austin. It was a good song, but it was basically him rapping for like 40 bars and then pausing and then 40 more bars. And it was great. And then he came out with another song where he rapped for like 30 bars and then like 20 bars. And it's just like, this is okay. And I remember like telling myself, just like, he's going to have to learn song structure if he wants to get big. Because his first song had like 15 million views, and it's like on YouTube. And it's like, and then he did start coming out with some music that had song structure. And it was like, okay, good. Somebody sorted it out. And so figuring out song structure is super important. Because yeah, you can rap your ass off, but like, you know, we can only listen to so many songs of you doing that. Like, there has to be some song structure. There's a reason why, you know, on the radio or in concert or whatever it is, like there's some song structure. So that's important. And then another one is, and I tell my students this all the time, is stop rapping over other people's beats.
Okay. That's interesting, because that's almost like a strategy some people use to, like, let's hop over this hot beat and then maybe we'll get noticed. So you're kind of going the opposite of that.
Yes. Yeah. And yeah, that's just, obviously my opinion, but like, I remember I had this one student years ago, when Wale's Lotus Flower Bomb was a song. One of my students rapped over that, and all the students were, oh man, did you hear his Lotus Flower Bomb flow and all this? And it's just like, it, it wasn't really memorable because of his rapping. It was memorable because of the beat. And my advice is to not do that, because if that's the case, no one cares about you or what you're saying. And especially if you're trying to get noticed, if you're trying to get radio play or trying to get a record deal or whatever, that's not a really good sign if they like it because of the beat. And so if they like it because of the beat and you're a producer, I mean, obviously that's a different conversation. And if you made the beat, they're like, who? Basically, that was Kanye West in his early days. He wanted to be a rapper and was a rapper and was rapping over his own beats, but at the time they just liked his beats, and so they'd be like, "Who's that rapping?" It's like, "Oh, it's me." It's like, "Oh, okay," but they only added him as a producer on Rockefeller Records and that kind of thing. But anyway, that's a side note. And so I guess those are my two biggest things: is learn song structure and rap over original beats. So whether you pay someone, whether you find a free one on the internet, whether you make it yourself, yeah.
Okay.
To me, you don't rap over some Drake beat.
What do you think about someone like Blueface who's offbeat? Does that drive you crazy, rapping offbeat?
It does. I kind of like Blueface, some of his stuff, but some of it, yeah, it's too offbeat for me to enjoy. Soulja Boy Tell 'Em is offbeat constantly. Chief Keef is offbeat. It does drive me a little bit nuts. I think just some people don't have rhythm.
Yeah.
And I don't know about Blueface, but I'm very sure that Soulja Boy Tell 'Em does not have rhythm. I mean, and with due respect to him, he makes music that people care about and like, and so he has a talent. I'm not saying he's not talented. He's certainly talented, but I'm not quite convinced that he has rhythm. And so he has a catchy chorus, you, how about you, or hop up out my bed. Like he makes memorable content.
Definitely catchy for sure.
Catchy, but then in between the catchy parts, it's just chaos, and it is so hard for me to listen to.
Got it. Well, let's get into some more gangster music. You see what I did there?
Oh.
All right, so this is Cameron, more gangster music. What's up with this track?
So the Dipset movement was a huge part of my life and is still now. And a Dipset movement was like 01 to 05 maybe. And it was largely focused in New York, but like there was a time when Dipset was the biggest thing in hip hop, at least as far as my purview. And I ignored it for a while, because it was just like, oh man, that's just that commercial rap or whatever I was thinking at the time. And he's wearing pink and that's whack or whatever. Like I just ignored it. And then there was a song, it was a Joel Santana song, who was part of Dipset, that I heard. I forget what it's called, but it was this song where he basically used like a choir that was singing Dipset, let's get it on, and he made a song over that. And it was just like, I heard it and it was like, damn, that's really good. I can't ignore this anymore. And so I started like kind of dabbling a little bit in Dipset stuff, and I was like, this is good. And then I bought the Cameron album, Purple Haze, and it's without a doubt my favorite album of 04. And this is the first song on it. And every time I hear this specific song, it takes me back to the Dipset movement. Like no other song, even that first song I decided I liked, no other song takes me back to that than this. And like still to this day when I listen to it, like I'll rap along with it, and hey, like there's just this feeling that just recaptures that.
Yeah, these guys always did something cool with like incorporating like the music into part of the hook, like on what's that song called, that Oh Boy or Hey Ma or whatever, like where
Yeah.
they incorporate like part of the structure and it becomes part of the hook. That's kind of, you know, one of the things that I enjoyed about these guys. For whatever reason, they were really good about like, let's incorporate this sample and make it part of the hook or whatever. Did you ever notice that?
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. And I'm sure because I was already rapping at this point, I'm sure I you know, tried to like redo that in some capacity. Like whenever I make rap music, I try to make it be my own thing and not be too like, well, everyone else is doing this, which, you know, is a big thing in rap music. But I'm sure I was influenced by Dipset in some capacity. Yeah.
Cool. How do you find your samples? Do you just like, do you go, you know, just listen to random stuff on the internet, or have you gone crate digging in the past? Like, how do you go about finding all your samples?
Both, for sure. I'm always keeping my ear out for something like that. For example, last summer I was at SeaWorld because I was on a field trip with some of my students, and they took a large group of us, like, you know, I don't know, 50 of us, and, you know, or 50 students and like the adults, and we went to SeaWorld, and we were sitting waiting for Shamu to perform, and this song came on, and it was like, whoa, what is this? And so I have Shazam on my phone. I Shazammed it, and then I came home, sampled it, made a rap song out of it with one of the guys that is in my rap group or former rap group, whatever.
What was the song? Do you remember?
I don't remember what it was called. No.
Okay.
But and then also my girlfriend, she's real into a lot of like Latin music. She's from Central America, and so that's the music she grew up on, music that she listens to, and so she'll be listening to stuff, and then I'll also like, hey, what's that song? And so I've sampled at least 2 songs that she's introduced me to, and one of them, like the chorus was this singer singing in Spanish. I don't know what she's saying. Something. It's called Pobre Secretaria. So it's like poor secretary. And it's basically like the in the song, the singer is the secretary who's been having an affair with her boss, but the boss always goes home to his wife every night, and so the song is about like, you know, fine, just go back to your husband or whatever, or to your wife. So yeah, so it doesn't matter what genre, where I hear it. I've sampled a K-pop song before, just whatever it is. I just find it, and it's like, that's the one. I want to grab that.
And I want to say the latest one that I listened from you incorporates like video games or something. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, so I made a song about my divorce when I got divorced a few years ago. That was definitely from a video game.
Okay.
I recently made a song. I was specifically looking through YouTube for like.
I want to say the one that I listened to actually had like video game sounds inside of the actual production. But,
oh, okay. That song, that was I actually didn't make that beat, but I did do the mastering of that song, and I did add the video game samples.
Okay.
So it's from the video game Double Dragon. For the
that's
Double
what
Dragon
it was.
series.
Yeah. Okay.
My friend made a beat sampling Double Dragon, the Double Dragon theme song, and then, you know, he came over at the time, and we, you know, wrote, record, whatever, and then he sent it to me to master, and then I added a bunch of sound effects like punch sounds, kick sounds, and in the game, like, there's different sounds. One of them is like you do like you knee someone in the face and they go flying off screen, and that has like a very specific sound that's like way harder than punching and kicking. And so that's weirdly what I found over the course of like making rap music is so much happens between recording and releasing, of like mastering the song, dropping the beat out of certain points to emphasize what you're saying, or adding sound effects, or adding like an effect or a dub or whatever. So I did add the sound effects.
Cool. So let me ask you about what are your thoughts about gangster music? So when I was growing up, like, there was like this big movement about like, we got to stop rap music. You know, they would like put these huge like case things around the CDs, so you would have to like take it to the register and verify that, yes, like either I'm of age where I can purchase this album, or my parent is with me and I can purchase this album. And they were just like so afraid of like gangster music like being a bad influence. What are your thoughts about that? Well, you know, because you grew up listening to nothing but hip hop, and here you are doing social work, so it doesn't really play into that.
To me, it's the music has always been ultimately entertainment. And I mean, I remember there was this documentary called The Show. I've never seen the documentary, but it was about hip hop, and but it had a soundtrack, which my brother had the soundtrack, and there's a quote on this soundtrack where Dr. Dre, he said this, all of this stuff is entertainment. At the end of the day, it's entertainment. Like whether or not any of this stuff is actually happening, we're just describing life as we see it, our life around us, and it's for entertainment. And that's always how I've taken it. So I like every genre of rap music, and as a social worker now, like you know, are some of my guys influenced by this music? Maybe. I don't know, but I don't really think of it like that way. I think they're mostly influenced by their peers and that kind of thing. But as far as music, I mean, there's this group from the 90s called Parental Advisory. They're from Atlanta. They had an album called My Life, Your Entertainment. And I really think of it that way. Some of the content of some of these songs sure is negative, but whether they're doing that stuff or not, I don't know. But like, I think it was Lil Wayne, but somebody said that it's just like, if I'm at this level of fame with this level of income and I'm still doing some of this stuff I'm describing, I'm a moron. I would be stupid to be doing this stuff. So I'm able to differentiate the two, I guess, ultimately. So like gangster music, whatever, is just like this is just entertainment. I'm jamming this out as I'm going for a jog, whatever.
Although, you know, with a lot of the newer up and coming artists, we have seen where they're kind of still living that double life, and some of them have even, like, you know, passed away because they've been involved in various stuff. But I don't know, it's just kind of weird to me that, you know, you are successful, but yet you're still hanging out with the same people or going back and doing some of the same crazy stuff. But maybe that's not as common as what the media makes it sound, you know, to be, I guess, probably.
Yeah, I think it's less of a thing now than it was, like, say, in the 90s. Like, obviously, like Tupac and Biggie. But then there's also Big L, Mr. Cheeks from the Lost Boys. Like, it seemed more prevalent, back then. Well, I guess the more recent one is like Nipsey Hussle. The guy Huey just died. But I mean, Huey hasn't been truthfully relevant.
Yeah, that was the Pop Lock and Drop It guy, right?
Yeah. And that song is really his only big song, and that was over 10 years ago. And so I don't know if is comparable to, like, say, a Nipsey Hussle, but like there have been some more recent hip hop deaths, like Mac Miller and Juice WRLD, but like those weren't really due to violence, whereas Nipsey Hussle was. But like, again, I don't think it's much of a thing now, and I don't know if it's because people have more security or people are just smarter about it. I don't think it's as much of an issue as it once was, but I guess in some ways it still kind of is, and Nipsey Hussle being the prime example.
Yeah, for sure. Tell me about 3 6 Mafia and Stay Fly.
Man, even hearing it right now,
it just puts you in a good mood, right?
Yeah, like so to me, 3 6 Mafia in general, like, so they have an album. The album that this song is on is called Most Known Unknowns, with the notion of that they explain in the album is like, everyone knows our music, but no one knows it's us. And I think that's kind of true, because I think that they have put out some of the most iconic rap songs of all time. That's me personally. Sippin' Syrup, this song, like just like these iconic songs. It's like, this is all the same group. But specifically this song, it takes me back to when I was in college, and someone played it for me. It was like, hey, have you heard that new 3 6 Mafia song? And played it for me. And this song blew my mind. Like, I couldn't believe that this was a song. And it was just like, oh my God. And I love the video. I love it. And Juicy J has that shirt with the skulls on it, and I love that it's like a Memphis free for all because they got 8 Ball and MJG on it, and what's his name that was from G Unit, and it's just and it just takes me back to that time, and I remember like I heard it, and then I just played it constantly over and over and over, and then at the time, so I was making like little mixes at the time for myself, and I made a mix CD that I put that song as the first track on it, and I would take it to parties with me, and I would tell people like, "Oh, I have a friend who's a DJ, and he made this mix.
Nice.
Do you want to play it?" Like if people like if it was a party where they didn't really care about what the music was, "Oh yeah, sure, put it on." And it was me that put it together, but I didn't want to say that because I felt like it had more weight if I said a DJ put it together. But this song was the first song on it, and so it was just like, and people would hear this and be like, "What is this?" And it was like, that's how good this song is.
Yeah.
And it's the song I remember. It was like, so my girlfriend, again, she's from Central America, and she grew up on a certain type of music and really didn't have much exposure to rap music in general. Growing up, or even like through college was when she first kind of heard some. But then like whenever she was like, "Paul, I want you to start introducing some of this rap music to me," this is one of the first songs I played for her. And actually, I didn't even introduce her to this album until like 2 weeks ago. This song is just unreal. And again, it takes you back to my college days.
Yeah. That's cool. Now tell me, so one of the things that I sort of know about you is that you do your tri-monthly hip hop playlists. How did that get started? Do you remember how you got started doing that? And then it seems like just like by looking at the list, the number of people that were on the list just keeps growing and growing and growing. So how did that start?
Yeah, so this was another thing that was influenced by my brother. My brother was in college with you. He made this like mix of all these songs he was listening to, and he asked his roommate at the time. He was like, "What should I call this little mix I just made?" And his roommate said, "Beats Me." I don't know. And so my brother called it Beats Me, and I think he might have had like one or two of these Beats Me, and so I did this myself. I came out with a little mix of music I was listening to. Excuse me, and I asked my friend what I should call it, and I forget what it is now, but it's like, "I think you'd know better than me," or something like that. And so I had like three volumes of this, "I think you'd know better than me," and then I just started coming out with these regularly because I realized like I don't really like listening to the radio. I don't really like listening to random like Spotify channels. Like I like listening to what I want to listen to. And so the best way to do that was to put together these lists of like every so often of the music I wanted to listen to. And at the time it was coming out maybe every other month, every 6 months. It was just kind of random. And then I started eventually like people started asking me for music, and I was like, "Well, I do these mixes. You can," and so people started asking me for these mixes of music, and then it was like, "Well, I don't want to do this every month because that's going to get old." But then every 3 months, and so maybe about 10 years ago, it started being tri-monthly, and it's kind of funny is because like even at my like worst or best or whatever, I still keep putting these out, and some of them are definitely better than others, and maybe that's just where I was at the time, or maybe that's where the music is at the time. But even when like I was going like through a divorce or whatever, it was like, well, I still got to put this mix out.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I've been like making little mixtapes, whatever you want to call them, since I was in like 8th, 9th grade for myself, but I didn't really make them like, I didn't put the heart that I put into them now.
Did you do the mixtape for the girls you like? That was a thing for a while too. You'd make a mixtape. Never did that.
You know, yeah, I have it some, yeah. It's just like, hey, this is some really good music, am I cool now? Yeah, I've definitely done that.
How do you discover music? You said you don't like radio, you don't like Spotify. How do you discover music?
So it's actually a really time consuming, experience, I guess. But it's, when albums are put out, by artists that I recognize, I'll listen through those albums. So if it's like, hey, The Game just put out a new album, or Skizzy Mars put out a new album, I'll listen through those albums. Or if it's I use DatPiff a lot.
Okay.
DatPiff, I guess for listeners that don't know, that's a mixtape website where artists can upload their music, and then there's a lot of people who upload their own mixtapes to that, and a lot of times it's just like someone who uploads every new thing they can find. It's not really like their favorite, but it's like 90 tracks, and so I'll download all of those. I'll listen through all those 90 tracks, and I might find one song in there I like, and then so these songs I like, I'll set them aside, and I'll accrue. Oh, and then I'll go to like YouTube, and I'll look at what's trending, and I'll look at what's attached to those videos, and I'll just go down this rabbit hole of YouTube stuff, and I'll find stuff, and I have used some of those websites where you can like download YouTube music, and
we'll edit that part. Nothing. He said he usually goes and purchases the album from iTunes. No.
Okay. Yeah. So I'll find some stuff on YouTube, and I'll find a way to get it on my computer, and then I'll set that aside, and I'll have about maybe accrue 200, 300 songs, and then I'll listen through that over and over and over, and I'll whittle that down. It's like, that's not mix worthy. That's not mix. That is until it's not, and then it's not. And then I'll get that down. And so when I first started doing this, I would get it down to CD length. So 80 minutes or less of music.
Okay.
And that's still since been my goal. And it's usually around 20 to 25 songs. So even though now we're not like bound by CD length, I still like that length of these mixes. And so what starts off at 200, 300 songs ends up in 20 to 25 songs. And so it's a really time consuming process that I put a lot of thought and effort and heart into. And they're not always perfect. There's definitely times where I'll like be listening to it and it's like, I shouldn't have put this song on there. And that could even happen a week later or a year later or 10 years later or whatever it is. It's just like, I like that song until I don't like it anymore. But I stand by my mixes ultimately, but there's certainly some that I'm willing to admit that's like, that one wasn't that great.
Yeah. Do you recommend any other blogs? Like, I don't know, it seems like most of the blogs are pretty commercial now, like even like Rep Radar or something like that. It's pretty commercial nowadays, but are you familiar with any cool blogs that people can check out to see, upcoming artists or new music?
Not really. There was one that I used to follow, but it stopped being updated like 5 years ago. I don't know if the guy got married or something and just like decided to abandon it. I met the dude who ran it at South by Southwest show.
That's cool.
Yeah. And because he was there putting on some artists, and I was like, oh, that's you? I love that blog. And he was like, yeah, and I met Futuristic. He was there because that guy put a lot of his music on. I don't remember the name of the blog, but it's not kept up anymore. But that was really it. I usually just try to find stuff myself.
Okay, cool. All right, this next track, I don't know, anywhere that I drop it, like the ladies just like turn into something else. They go crazy. Blow the whistle.
Oh,
it's like wherever I drop it, it could be like, you'd think that this is like a real formal gathering or whatever. You drop this and it's like, they just freak out. You're like, whoa, I didn't know you were going to dance like that. Tell me about this track.
And this song has a really special place to me. So like the hyphy movement is to this day my favorite era of rap music all time. Going back to the 70s to now. Like there's just nothing that matches the hyphy movement to me. And specifically, so like my brother, again, always the influence on me. My brother had been telling me about hyphy music and Mac Dre, and I just couldn't really get into Mac Dre, and like I just was like, I just wasn't feeling it. And I'd even heard E40 tell me when to go, and it was just like, And then I heard this song. I saw the music video, really. I saw the music video for this song, and it blew my mind. Like it's the boom, boom, and like that like view of like downtown Oakland, and then like it was like these guys like banging their heads, their dreads shaking around, and I was even doing research for this podcast. Like I watched the video again, and it like literally gave me chills. It's like this set all of the hyphy stuff off for me. So I was a little bit late to the hyphy movement, but I eventually got into it, and I made like this hyphy mix that I still like. Probably like every 3 months, I'll pull out and just jam this hyphy movement, hyphy music mixtape that I made, and this is the first track on it, and with good reason. It's just like it's so representative of the era, and so representative of where I was like in my life at that time, and it takes me back there. And what I like about Too Short. So Too Short is not exactly a wordsmith, but in my book, he's top 20 rappers. Maybe, probably not top 10, but top 20, because he has been relevant for so long. And like since like the mid 80s with, the Freaky Tales and, Shorty the Pimp and all that stuff, to like now, he's like, he might have finally stopped, but he was still putting out music a couple years ago. I remember he was like, gonna retire, but Mr. Fab, who's a Bay Area rapper, was like insisted, like, no, I will help you, but you were gonna put out another album, and he put another one out because like, and so this, he put out a hyphy album because that's what it was. And even though he's Too Short, and at that time he was in his 40s, and he was like maybe not even about the hyphy era, but he put it out for the people because that's what the people wanted. And to me, he made the best song of all the hyphy songs, and it's just like, that's how like important this song is to me, and how much of a placeholder it is for that time.
Yeah, and I think one of the things I like about him is that the way he pronounces certain words, like he pronounces it and puts emphasis on certain words like nobody else. Like when you hear like his voice and how he delivers stuff, you're like, that's Too Short. Like, yeah, there's no confusing.
yeah. I have a friend that is about as knowledgeable about hip hop as I am, and whenever we hang out was when we're like trading songs and like playing music, we always play this one Too Short song called In the Trunk, and it's from his like Shorty the Pimp in the Trunk album. It's like 89, I think. And yeah, he has some lines on there that like, that we say they're not appropriate, but like, we will say because it's just so memorable. It's like, it's not a hot line per se. Like he doesn't have like metaphors and stuff, but it's just the way he says it. That's like, damn, did you hear what he said?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all.
Nice.
Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah, that's awesome. So tell me, what's some of the advice that you give your students nowadays? Like, if they're maybe more passionate about, certain things and they don't want to do the traditional, like go to college or whatever, like what kind of feedback, I guess, do you give them? Do you tell them, hey, pursue your passion? Or do you say, hey, always go to school, that way you have a backup plan? Like what kind of feedback do you give your students nowadays?
So a lot of these students, a lot of students I work with actually don't want to go to college. And there's a push in the field and in education to like, everyone goes to college. We're all college ready. We're all college able. We're all doing this. And a lot of them students don't want to, and they hate school and have no interest in it and just want to have a trade or whatever it is. And so honestly, I support my students with whatever they are, whatever they desire, whatever their pursuit is. I mean, some students, it's like, I don't want to go to college. It's like, yeah, but you have like a 3.9 and you're really good at school, and it would broaden your options versus someone who does not have your abilities. And so that's a separate conversation. But and so it just depends on what it is they're interested in. I do encourage them not to settle, in the sense of like, I've got this good job at the burger joint, and they're giving me hours, and it's like, there's absolutely nothing wrong with working at a fast food restaurant. There's nothing wrong with being a custodian, anything like that. Those are great jobs and great trades, but you have leadership skills. So you could be doing this, or you like to work harder than everyone else around you. So you could be doing this. And so I would never discourage anyone from having a job of some kind, but I would certainly encourage students to match their potential and to match their abilities. And so like if I have a student who is a custodian on the weekends, but whenever we're meeting in like a group, he's like the class clown, and everyone looks to him to see if something is cool or funny or whatever. And it's like you're sitting on something that a lot of other people don't have. And as much as being custodian is great, you could be leading a room full of people and getting paid to do it.
Yeah, that's really cool. So you're able to see something that maybe they potentially didn't know was there, or they didn't realize was an option, right? Because maybe they haven't heard like, hey, you've got leadership skills, you know, so that's pretty cool that you do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Next track, Wipe Me Down.
Oh,
tell me about this one.
Oh, so 2007 was a really transitional year for me because I was living in San Antonio, and I wasn't really doing much with my life right after college. Like I had a job, it was a degree job. I didn't really like it, and I didn't really like know what I wanted to do next because I knew it wasn't that. And so I was finding stuff to do in my free time, and so I would like go clubbing or whatever. And this song came out, and I was just, this was like the anthem of 2007. The summer of 2007 was this song. But San Antonio hadn't heard about it yet. And so I'd go to the clubs and they would never play it. And I'd go to the DJ, which as a DJ, you could probably respect this. I don't think they really liked that I was making requests because they were playing what they were going to play. And, but I would make requests and I always get like head shakes or like, I don't know what that is or whatever. And so at some point the song finally broke through in San Antonio, and they started playing it everywhere. And it was just like, oh! And so, like, I'm not really a club dude. I'm not really, like, I don't really like to bar hop. I'm not really into clubbing. But, like, in that moment in San Antonio at that time, I was just in a place where it was like, let's go clubbing or whatever. And so when this song finally hit, it just was, like, such a memorable song for me. And I remember, for some reason, so these guys are from, like, Baton Rouge. This song wasn't really popping outside of the South, and specifically I remember reading in a hip-hop magazine that one of the guys from Mobb Deep was like, what is this Wipe Me Down trash or something? Like he was like talking down on it. And like as much as I love Mobb Deep and their album The Infamous, one of my all-time favorite albums, it like hurt me in my heart that he was saying that, because it was like, this song is like my life right now. And for some reason that song is just like, I'll play that song alone like once a month, just because it's just, wipe me down, wipe me down.
It just puts you in a good mood.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Big time.
Cool. So if you could be successful 100% in any other career, what do you think you would pursue?
Oh, so the dream career for me at this point in my life, would be to be a writer. One of my hobbies, passions in my free time is I write plays.
Oh yeah, we haven't even talked about that, because man, I've seen you do this and I'm like, I can't even get my friends to like agree to join like a new app or something, a messaging app or something. I can't get them to do anything. And you get your friends to like go participate in a play that you've written, go watch it. Tell me more about these plays, man. How do you do it?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I got to give it up, man. My friends, like, I can't believe that they're willing to
support you.
They indulge me on this. And so for like the last 6 years, I've always been a writer in the sense that I wrote for my elementary school newspaper, I wrote for my high school newspaper, I wrote for my college newspaper. I minored in writing in college, but like never really did anything with it after that. And then like 5-6 years ago, I just got a, desire to start writing. And so I wrote some short stories. I had some friends come over and we read them out loud. And one of my friends was like, this was cool, but this would be way more cool if we could like act it out and we had something to watch with it. And I was like, okay, I had no clue how to write a play. So I had to go like research how to write a play, YouTube, how to write a play. And I figured out that there's like apps and stuff that can help you with this. And so like I started writing plays. And man, yeah, my friends will show up and they'll watch as me and some of my other friends will perform these plays. They're all comedies, and I'd like to think that they're funny. My friends give me good feedback, but maybe they suck. I don't know. But like, Like the last one was the most packed one, because it was supposed to be at another friend's house with a bigger space, and that person had to like back out, and so it was like, well, we'll do it at my house, we'll see what happens. And it was packed, and we put on this stupid play with, you know, toilet potty humor and poop jokes and whatever, and, you know, like belly laughter from some people. It was real cool. And so if I could, you know, do anything right now, like as a career and be successful, it'd be writing.
Cool.
If it was, you know, 15 years ago, it would have been rapper.
Okay.
If it were 20 years ago, it would have been to be like an actor in movies and TV shows. Because my brother and I used to make, and my friends used to make little short films. They're all terrible.
Yeah, I remember that too. Yeah, the Lopez brothers, right?
Yeah, Lopez brothers films.
I forgot about that, man. We could have a whole podcast just on that. You guys just would like pick up a video camera and just start making your own movies, or how did that start?
Yeah. I had a friend who had like, he borrowed a VHS camera from the school AV club or AV teacher or whatever, and like he was like, hey, we should make some movies. And I kind of didn't take it seriously, and then he showed it to me and I was like, oh, this is fun, we could do this. And so I got my friends and my brother involved, and we made like a parody of like Law and Order. We made like an Aliens movie, and like looking back, they're awful, but there are some moments that like, that's really funny and clever for someone who's 15. Like that's good. And so we got up to the point where we made an hour-long movie that I think is the best out of all of them, and it was a mockumentary about how difficult it is to make these stupid movies with our friends, because our friends are always dicking around the entire time, and we have to like wrangle and like, hey, where did you know, Jose go? Why isn't he here or whatever? And that was like, I think the pinnacle of us making movies. But then like my brother moved away, and then I moved away, and so it was like, it's hard to make movies because it was mainly my brother, like you said, Lopez brothers film.
Yeah,
it's hard to make those movies when my brother was living in Idaho at the time, and I was living in San Antonio, and so we haven't lived in the same city since then, and so we literally have not made a movie since then. But there was like I want to say like 7-year window where we were pumping out these movies like once every 3 months, and so there's a bunch of them, but they're all pretty, man, except for the very last one.
You need to bring it back. And at least like start a YouTube channel or something with it. Like you got to do something. And even
maybe one of these days,
even the writing, I think, I mean, it's kind of similar to what's happening to music. Like if you want to be a writer or put a book out there, I mean, it's pretty easy to put it out on Amazon at this point, right? And do an ebook at least if you wanted to do that.
Yeah, I think so. And I post, so Facebook is a creative outlet for me, and I think as my Facebook friend, you probably know how often I post like original personal content on there.
Stories of like what happened, or things your dad said. Those are the ones that always cracking me up.
Thank you. And so like I've had a number of people over the years like, you should put this in a book, you should whatever, and so that's been in my mind. It's just it is a goal of mine to get published, but it's not a right now goal. And so I haven't been able. So like for me, like a right now goal is to write the next play and to make my next rap song and to play my next soccer game whenever that's going to be, thanks to quarantine or whatever. But so it's just not a right now goal, but it is a one-day goal.
Okay.
To get published.
All right. So the last track, it's a little bit different than the rest. It still has a hip hop element, but it's a little bit different. Tell me what this track means to you. Steve Aoki and Wale. Tell me what this track means.
Yeah, so this one, it's a little bit on the cheesy side, in the sense that it has to do with my girlfriend and meeting her, and I was telling her about this list, and she was like, "Why is that song on the list?" And it's like, "What do you think?" And she started crying because she knew exactly what I meant. And so what it is like, so I got divorced 3 years ago, and I was at a place in my life where I was like, man, I'm 33. I'm never going to meet someone again. I'm used up. Like I just had this feeling like this is never going to happen. And around that time I was working on my next mix, and this song was a potential for the next mix. And I was like, I just happened to be listening to it. And so anyway, I worked with the person who is now my girlfriend, and I had seen her from afar and was, hey, she's cute or whatever. But like, I just didn't. And then we went to this work happy hour, and we happened to sit next to each other. Well, she came and sat next to me on purpose, but because as it turns out, she was interested in me. But we talked for like literally 3 hours at this happy hour. We didn't talk to anyone else, just each other. And I was like, holy crap. Like, I didn't know I could have this feeling for someone ever again. And when I got back in my car, this was the song that was in the middle of it playing. It started playing.
That's cool.
And, and like the chorus, I mean, it's if I told you that I love you, like I didn't love her at that time, but the lyrics are just like, he says, 'cause I really fuck with you. And this was just this like, damn, I am really feeling this girl. And this song is so like capturing this moment. And so to this day, every time I hear this song, I go right back to that moment of like pure like joy of like my life it does not have to be this like pity me existence. Like, and so it has that feeling to me. And I guess even though I've told my girlfriend how this song makes me feel, I don't think she truly understood it until she saw that I included this song on this list.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's funny how you had the song before you had the girl, and then it just kind of worked out. Pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't think I've ever had a song. No, I know for a fact I never had a song that reminded me of a person or of a feeling about a person. I was married, I was with someone for 10 years, and like, I didn't have a song for that person. I've dated people in college, high school, whatever, and I never had a song for that person. And so I think that's why this one's so specifically important.
Cool. All right. Well, we've come to the end of your list. One of the things that I like to do with the guests is just ask them to have a question for the audience. So if you could ask, any question out there to the audience, what would it be? And it could be something simple, like, what's your favorite thing to eat, or something complicated like, how do we make this world a better place? It's your question. So what kind of question would you ask the audience?
I guess I'm going to be a little self-centered on this question. Did you find this interesting, and what could I have done differently to be better?
Awesome. I like it. Always working on self-improvement there. I like it.
Yeah.
And one thing that I've noticed about you is like, you're super creative at whatever it is you put your mind to it. So definitely keep up that creative spirit, man. It's awesome. Just, seeing all your stories, seeing like your plays, like your music, whatever it is. So definitely keep that up, man, for sure.
Thank you. And I have to say, well, one, thank you so much for having me. This has been a lot of fun. I really appreciate you reaching out to me, and it means like the world to me that you respect my opinion on music to this level. But I also have to say, so like I checked out one of your other podcasts just to know what I was getting into. And I saw that they're all like, hour, half, hour, and I was thinking, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to talk for that. And then here we are, an hour and a half later.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. It flies when you're talking about music and just talking about all the good memories that I don't know. It just music is a magical thing, and it just the memories that it just spurs up. It's pretty amazing. So it's definitely cool to and the thing I like is I get exposed to different songs. Maybe different genres or different artists that maybe I wouldn't have ran across. So it's really cool. One of the things that I also like to ask is if the people want to follow you. I don't know if you want to share any of your social media accounts or anything, but if people are curious about, maybe hearing your playlist, your tri-monthly hip hop playlists or your plays or whatever. I don't know if you have a public social media IG account or anything for that, but feel free to share if you have one.
Yeah, sure. I mean, absolutely. Please check out my music. SoundCloud.com/Tactic Lopez, TACTICLOPEZ. Please, I don't cuss my rap music if that's an issue. And it's a lot of fun, and I hope you would enjoy it.
Is that because of Will Smith, or why'd you decide no cussing on music?
It's because I work with young people, and so like the minute I started working, at first it was with elementary students and eventually it's high school, but like I like to be able to share that with them. And there's certainly music that I made in high school and college that's riddled with inappropriate content, but it just, the time came, it was like, oh, I want to be able to have this music out there and share it with people or even my students.
Yeah.
And there's really only one way to do it. So that's why I don't cuss my rap music.
Okay.
So SoundCloud. Other than that, I don't have a public social media stuff, but I'm very creative on Facebook. So if anyone wants to add me on Facebook, my name's Paul Lopez, and I'm friends with DJ Maverick on Facebook. Luis, if you want to look me up through there. I do have an Instagram. My Instagram is mostly not about my rap music, but I do post some of my rap music on there, or like put a story of some of my songs.
A lot of pizza shirts.
Yeah, lots of me and my cat and just stuff. But it's my Instagram is Tactical Lopez. So yeah, I'm and if anyone wants to make any songs, I'm certainly open to making music with people. Just let me know. Reach out to me.
Perfect.
I'm open to making music.
Awesome. Hey, well, thanks so much for being on the show. Hope you enjoyed it. And man, it's been great going down the list and going. Man, I feel like we could have discussed so much more, but it goes on forever. So there's never a good okay, let's stop right here. But we've came to the end of the list. So thanks so much for being on the show. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, me too. Thanks.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. The one and only Paul Tactic Lopez on the Maverick Podcast. Just chill to the next episode.